Well, the way people work is changing because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that includes state lawmakers. Legislators have been conducting summer study meetings via Zoom, but as Adam Pinsker tells us, the long-term picture of how the legislature will work is still unclear.
Senate and House leadership are meeting this summer to determine what alternatives are available if lawmakers can't meet at the Capitol here when the legislative session begins in January. The business of state government must continue, even as the coronavirus pandemic brought much of the country to a standstill and is changing the way we interact every day. When the legislature reconvenes in 2021, it will be after a major election year and at the beginning of the next budget cycle.
We were $1 billion with a B, $1 billion short of our forecast in April. And prior to that, we were humming along at, frankly, comfortably over our revenue forecasts.
Bloomington Democratic State Representative Matt Pierce says he's concerned about how lawmakers and the governor will make do on a promise from last year that included teacher raises in the 2021 budget.
This is a problem that was created by the General Assembly when it replaced property tax funding of the schools, for the most part, with state sales tax funding.
Crafting a budget and cutting spending won't be the only challenges facing lawmakers. This summer, a continuity committee will meet to determine how the legislature and executive branch could operate should a pandemic, natural disaster, or terrorist attack hobble state government.
We better try and find out how we can function and what laws need to be changed and allowed to allow us to function under those kind of circumstances.
Senate President Pro Tem Rod Bray says the immediate challenges of physical distancing during the pandemic will be difficult to deal with during the legislative session when multiple rooms are being used for committee meetings.
It will be much more difficult, though, to try and conduct our legislative session because we have committee hearing after committee hearing, multiple during the day. Lots of people come in to testify.
Republican Bray and Democratic State Senator Gene Breaux agree that an arrangement needs to be made to allow lawmakers to vote remotely, or one at a time rather than all at once. Breaux says old rules that bar lawmakers from not being able to vote if they aren't in the chamber should be changed.
If they were able to turn into the events of what was happening in the chamber, they should be allowed to vote.
Housemember Pierce says changing the rules to allow voting on Zoom isn't the only issue that must be decided should the legislature hold its entire 2021 session virtually.
You're also going to have to study the Constitution because I think there may be some language in the Constitution that says the legislature has to sit in Indianapolis. So I don't know what it would mean if all the legislators are actually attending the legislature from home.
Lawmakers are still being paid a salary which is handed out in full at the beginning of the year, but they're not being paid for travel expenses this summer as long as committee meetings are held via Zoom. Senator Breaux says legislators on summer study committees such as herself must also look at how the 2020 election will be held if long lines at polling stations create a health hazard.
No matter which party you're affiliated, it's a critical election. And if people are fearful of going out and casting their ballots in the traditional way, then that may mean that the numbers of participants is sorely decreased.
Senator Breaux says she'd like to see her colleagues pass an aid package similar to what the federal government passed a few months ago that would benefit families and small businesses throughout Indiana. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Adam Pinsker.